For nearly 30 years. Originally from Michigan, now living in Tennessee, give it a big round of applause for Terry Chicken Man Wilcox.
How's everybody doing tonight? Thank you for the introduction, Brian. I appreciate it. I am the Chicken Man. That's what they call me. The reason they call me Chicken Man is I have a love for chicken. I just can't seem to get enough. I was in Hooters recently, which is my favorite chicken of all, and I once ate 37 hot wings. I tell you, I spent the next week doing nothing but farting feathers. It's pretty exciting. And a little health warning for you. I went to the doctor recently, and you probably all heard about the avian bird flu that's going around, the virus. I don't have that. I have something that's not contagious. It's called the avian Tourette syndrome. So if you hear a cluck from now and then, just don't be surprised. Apparently it seems to be brought on only when I'm on stage speaking for some reason, and awkward silences seem to be the trigger point. So if you don't have any of those, we should be safe. So that's just a health warning, just want everybody to know. A lot of stuff in the news about the medical community. I just read recently where they have the first birth born in Canada from a frozen embryo. Instead of implanting the embryos right out of the woman, they actually had froze some and implanted it. And there was a little girl born in Canada. Her name was Baby Crystal. She was born a little premature, about 2 weeks premature, but the good news is they didn't have to use an incubator. They actually happened to have a microwave there, and for 3 minutes, ding, she was good to go. So that's exciting right there. Also, there's a new diet drug out on the market these days. I don't know if any of you ladies have heard of it. It's called Ally. But trust me, the name's deceiving. It's not your friend. If you look at some of the side effects, they have it's got a lot of gas, a lot of soily leakage. And, I mean, it just sounds nasty. But the good thing is it does come with a coupon for a free supersized pack of Depends. So well, that ought to help you out right there. Then I was reading where in the state of Mississippi, some lady was recently went to court and she was found guilty of passing bad checks. Apparently she had passed over a 10-year period 1,500 checks totaling $200,000. Well, the judge sentenced her to 10 years in jail and fined her $200,000. But he wasn't really surprised though when she offered to write a check for the whole amount of this money. She'll be spending her whole 10 years in jail, I'm sure. And oddly enough, living in Nashville here, we have the Nashville Zoo. There's been a lot of crime up there in the zoo. And what they've done is they've decided to use the animals to help combat some of the crime. When they walk around the park, if they get some unruly visitors going through the park, they don't use a taser, which has been in the news quite a bit lately. They carry an electric eel around with them. Was happy with that? And then instead of the pepper spray, they come up with the ingenious idea of using skunk spray. They pass it out to the women as they're leaving the park that are by themselves. And they had some homeless people that were doing some purse snatching on some of the older ladies that they were leaving. And it turned out they had a good success with it. One of the ladies was actually able to hit the guy with the skunk spray. And about 15 minutes later, the Sam's Club in Harding Place, they caught the guy coming out with a 55-gallon drum of tomato juice. So it turns out they had a little bit of success with that right there. And I don't know if we have any TV watchers here. A lot of people watch reality shows that on TV. I'm sure maybe some of you have seen these. Not you, Brian. The NBC show How to Catch a Predator. I don't know if you've seen that show. Well, they've combined that show now with the Jeff Foxworthy Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? And they've hired Michael Jackson to be the host, and it's going to be called Are You Horny for a Fifth Grader? So that's something you may want to watch in your fall lineup coming up. So it ought to be an interesting season, I tell you right there. And there's been a lot in the news about cloning of animals. I don't know if I'm for that or not, but over in England recently, they made it illegal to clone human and animal cells together. And I thought, well, they could have some interesting prospects with that. Say they mix a giraffe with a peeping Tom. Well, they really help out in the police lineup, you know. And, well, Mrs. Smith, do you see anybody that looks familiar here? That was looking in your second-story window? Yeah, the guy in the middle with the 8-foot neck. Positive ID on him. That's the guy for sure. And then they could possibly mix a jackass with a U.S. president. Well, I guess that's already happened. And Brian mentioned homeless people earlier. Oddly enough, on the way here today, we get off on a Wedgwood exit. There was a homeless man there, panhandling, but he had a cell phone on. I thought that was kind of odd, but then I looked at a sign, it said it will work for rollover minutes. So I definitely think the homeless people have stepped it up quite a notch here. As you mentioned, I've worked for the auto industry for nearly 30 years. We've got a lot of competition, a lot of foreign competition. There's companies actually, in other countries that have started. There's a new one in China called Tata Motors. Now I'm thinking, well, is that a translation problem? And I think of Tatas. Cars aren't what I'm thinking about. But I figured, well, maybe it's just a translation problem. So I went and looked up a little bit and and I think they really know what they're talking about. First of all, they only sell them in pairs, which was kind of odd. And they have two models. They have a little sport coupe model called the Areola, and they have a larger four-door version that'll be coming out this fall called the Implant. So, and I'll tell you, I'll see the airbag on that thing. Woo, I'll tell you. But the good news is my teenage son is happy to wash it from now on, so that's a good thing. Well, I'm the Chicken Man. That's all I got for tonight. I thank you for your time.